Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode of Bet the Over. I'm your host, Kevbo, and we got a couple things to break down in this episode. So, just to start out, shout out to the New York Knicks, up 2-0 currently. Recording this on Sunday, the 7th, up 2-0 against the San Antonio Spurs. It's been a crazy series. I'm not necessarily the biggest basketball fan, but I used to watch when I was a kid, and it's exciting to see a New York sports team finally succeed because it's been 14 years since the last New York major sport has won a championship, and it was the New York Football Giants. So, always going to support New York teams. Exciting times. Hopefully, they can close it out at MSG, and New York City will actually burn to the ground. And it's just a great time. I think the Knicks, honestly, out of all the major sports teams, kind of unite the entire state. I don't know why. I just feel like no one's a Nets fan. The Knicks specifically, like you have the Jets and the Giants, you have the Mets and the Yankees, Islanders, Rangers, but I feel like for the most part, if you support New York basketball, it's mostly Knick fans. But anyway, let's get into the football section of this. That as why most of you are probably here. But the New York Giants wrapped up OTAs last week. This video is coming out a little late, so I'll catch you guys up on a couple big stories. We'll start out with the actual practices. So far, the rookies, a lot of them have looked very good. Arvell Reese has looked amazing so far. He's looked super athletic, very big. Seems like he's definitely going to play more off-ball linebacker than pass rusher, as we kind of all expected. But he looks great in coverage, has amazing instincts, and he's a big man moving at big speeds. It's exciting to see him get going. His NFL career started. Abdul Carter has looked fantastic. Now I know last year he also looked very well. And while some people say his last year's season was a little bit disappointing, I think he played well. If he continues to build off of last season and he starts out how he finished last year, I think he's going to be in for a very, very big year in the sacks department. So, two younger pass rushers slash linebackers, also Francis Maui Noah. It's kind of hard to determine how good he's been just because there hasn't been pads, but I've heard reports that he's looked comfortable. All of my reports coming off Giants.com, the OTAs, but I've seen he looks confident and comfortable, not intimidated by anyone on the defensive line, and he's holding up well against this pretty good pass rush. And then the next guy that's actually played pretty well so far is second round pick Colton Hood. He had a pick in one of the practices this past week. He had a pick in his rookie minicamp. So it's going to be exciting to see him kind of get going because the cornerback room is kind of up for grabs. They signed Newsome this offseason, but he's not necessarily a long-term play or solution at corner. Obviously, we have Banks. He's probably just going to return kicks, but maybe get something out of him. You have Paulson Adebo, who kind of had a disappointing year last year. And then in the slot, you have Drew Phillips, but Colton Hood could sneakily get into this starting lineup, whether it's CB2, CB1, or maybe even slot if Drew Phillips moves somewhere else. Or I think Drew Phillips is kind of the slot guy, so that position's probably locked down. But those are kind of the big OTA stories. It is hard to tell just because, like I said, there's no pads. Shout out to Calvin Austin. He's actually been having a fantastic minicamp. He seems like he might be the deep threat guy moving forward, coming out of the slot. And I honestly think the Giants wide receiver core is sneaky. They're not the best in the league, especially if Malik Neighbors doesn't start week one, but they're actually, I say, all good, solid wide receiver twos and threes. So you can get some production out of these guys. Like I said, Calvin Austin has played pretty well, and he's going to have a starting opportunity because Malik's not going to be here, and the other guys that will be on this list we'll get into in a little bit because the Giants did sign a couple different wide receivers. So, um, a couple of the big guys that they signed is Juju Smith-Schuster, wide receiver. Obviously, he's more known for his TikTok dances than his actual performance on the field. Although he did play decent on the Steelers, his first, I think, rookie season, he played well. Next guy, we got Braxton Berrios. I don't think he's going to get any reps at wide receiver, probably. I mean, he might get some here or there, but I think the biggest reason for his signing is to return kicks. Last week, uh, what's his name? Gunnar Olszewski tore his Achilles or tore his ACL, so he's out for the year. They needed another kick returner. I think that's where Braxton Berrios is going to come in. Him and probably Deontay Banks are going to split time. So I'm not necessarily looking for so much production on the wide receiver end and more production on the kick returning end. And then the big wide receiver that I know a lot of Giants fans were anticipating and looking forward to is Odell Beckham Jr. It's very nostalgic. I know a lot of people are super excited about that. Me personally, I don't want to be a hater, but I don't think this is this incredible signing. Odell has not been good in about 5 years. The last 1,000 yard season was on the Browns in 2018, I think, or no, yeah, maybe 2019. Um, a hot take here is I think Darius Slayton is currently better than Odell Beckham Jr. I know a lot of you guys aren't going to like that, but look at the stats. Darius Slayton has had more yards in the past 3 years, and he barely even plays. Obviously, Odell hasn't really been on too many teams, but I just don't see that all the hype around a 33-year-old wide receiver who hasn't had 1,000 yards in like 5 years. Um, is it fun and exciting? Yeah. Odell was my favorite player back when he was drafted in 2014. He was electric as a rookie and his first couple, 3, 4 seasons on the Giants. I was devastated when they traded him to the Browns. Shout out Dave Gettleman. We didn't sign him to trade him when he literally traded him 1 year later, or yeah, I think it was the next year or even that offseason. Um, when they originally signed him to the contract, that was the year they uh, drafted Saquon in the offseason. So they only got to play 1 year, I think. I was so excited for the team's potential with Saquon and Odell at wide receiver and running back, but obviously ended up not working so well. So the Odell Beckham Jr. signing, like I said, is exciting. He's a familiar face. He obviously won this city over. He brought the Giants relevant back when they were really terrible. It's been a rough 7 years. Obviously, I think 2 playoff appearances where they got bounced in the first and second rounds. But um, I really don't think Odell Beckham Jr. is going to be this breaking wide receiver. If he cracks 700 yards this year, I would be so happy. That would definitely be worth the signing. I don't think it's going to it's going to happen. He's older. He hasn't been productive in a very long time. And maybe he'll be a role play type of guy. He still has some decent route running we saw from OTAs. He still has some burst to him, but it's not what it was. And it's just I don't understand the extreme hype around it. But it's exciting to see him come back. New York City is where he wanted to stay, supposedly. That's what he said in a couple interviews. And that's kind of it for this episode. There hasn't been too much news. A couple injuries. We had Oshevsky, I think Roy Robinson Harris as well. He tore his Achilles. So the DT spot, which was already kind of weak, or I guess not weak, but not too much depth at that position, just had another significant injury. So we're getting pretty thin at that position. I don't think the Giants are really going to sign anyone else in free agency. I don't know any of the names that are out there really, but um, I think they've spent most of their money in free agency. And moving forward, this is probably going to be the team, and we'll get to the cuts and the roster reconstruction as we get deeper into the offseason. We are officially within 100 days of the NFL season. Um, Not too much news going on. Honestly, it's just been Knicks this past 2 weeks. The Knicks haven't lost a game in 40 days. Very exciting time. Go Knicks. Monday night. Let's go up 3-0 and let's get a dub. Shout out. The city's going to burn and it's going to be a great, great time. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And remember, bet the over.